Well, welcome to BOS 108 Personal Financial Planning. Glad to have you all here. Just wanted to show everybody around the class a little bit. Just click on course information here. So you can see what the dates of our class are right here, July 1 to August 1. So it's a month, so it goes pretty fast, so just be aware of that. When I click on coursework, I just want everybody to kind of see what is due and when. We're going to cover a lot of chapters and a lot of assignments. Every chapter usually has 3 assignments. Some just have 2, but most have 3. They have branching problems, engagement activities, and then homework. And you can see here I've got, for the first week of class, we're going to do 4 chapters. For the second week of class, it's 4 chapters again, and so on. You kind of get the feel for how the class goes. But basically every chapter has 3. Some only have 2 problems. You kind of see what the topics are. But August 1st, which is a Thursday, is our last day of class. So I just want everybody to kind of see the assignments there. And then I'll show you where to do them. If you go into resources, there's a couple things here to look at. So we'll go to downloads first. And when you go into downloads, there's a few worksheets here that you might want to use. You're not actually turning these in for some of the homework problems. They might help you just kind of work through the calculations. You might not need them. You might not use them. They're just kind of there if you want to use them. So just FYI, I'll just show you what one looks like, for example, here. This is for Chapter 2. And this is for a balance sheet. So this is kind of doing a personal balance sheet for somebody as an example. And the way these work, anything that's a blue is where you type in the number, and where you see the dashes, that just means that there's a formula there that will automatically add up the numbers for you. Okay. So I've got a bunch of those. I also have like a tax return, a few things like that. And then towards the bottom here, so you have to scroll down to get it. MindTap and the syllabus. So the MindTap information, that's where you're doing your homework, is over in MindTap, which is a Cengage product. So some of you may have the Cengage Unlimited product. If you did that, then you've already paid for it. Some of you might just be buying it just for the one class. Kind of up to you. I think most of you at this point probably have taken a Cengage class or something in MindTap or Appley or Cengage now. It's all the same company. But basically, just to get into it, you follow the instructions right here. If you need a specific course code, that's the capital letters right here. That is your course code. So those letters right there make up your course code. Because if you've already got Cengage Unlimited, you might only need to put in the course code, not the entire link. So just be aware of that. So if you need to pay for it and haven't yet, credit card, debit card, or PayPal can all be used to pay for it. So just FYI, that's kind of just some of the information to be thinking about. You do get a free trial for just a little bit, not very many days. It expires on January 3rd, so just FYI. But that's MindTap for the class. Let me close that, and then the syllabus is right here. And it's the same syllabus as most of my classes, which I think a lot of you have had me for in the past. But I just want everybody to kind of just see how to get a hold of me. Hopefully it's not too hard. I'm in Cleveland Center 108 in the summer. I'm still around to some degree, but if you want to meet with me or visit with me, it's probably best to email first. It's always okay to text me or call me, but email is usually number 1. Call or text number 2, and if you want to physically meet on campus, that's very okay. We can find a time that'll work for both of us. What the class is about, just like we said, personal finance, how to make good decisions about your finances today and going forward for the rest of your life, ideally. And so we're going to cover a lot of topics that deal with that. How to make good decisions with your money. So something like buying insurance, life insurance, health insurance, investing for retirement, planning for large expenditures, how to buy a car, how to buy a house. Those are all things we'll take a look at throughout the class, which I think a lot of you will find extremely interesting, hopefully. And then you can kind of just see from there all the stuff that you need to kind of go through. A little bit about me, my teaching philosophy, and so on. And then at the bottom here is just a schedule for our class, which is probably the one thing everybody might want to see. You could just print that out, have it with you, so you kind of know every week here's what's due and when. I made the due date Sunday nights at 11:55 p.m. Central Time, so that's when everything is due. Until the last week of class, you get a little bit extra time because the class ends on a Thursday, August 1st. So you have a little bit extra time for the last few chapters. I'm very okay with you working ahead. If you have a week in here where you're like, well, you know, I had a family vacation planned or something came up, I'm okay giving extensions. You just have to ask me. I will not give you an extension unless you ask me, but I'll give them without any questions asked. But then the last I can extend anything would be the last day of the class, which is August 1st. So if we get through the first week and you're like, well, I was going to be gone for the holiday for 3 or 4 days, we'll have limited internet access. That's fine. Just let me know. I'll give you the extension and you can go from there. So you can work ahead if you want to. The first week or so, if you need to slow it down for some reason, you can. But just know August 1st is the hard deadline. So if you ask for an extension for week 1 or week 2, you can't put that off very long. You got to dive right into it when you have the ability. But I'll be flexible with you, but I'm just trusting that everybody knows that with that flexibility has to come some self-direction and some awareness of due dates. So I just want you guys to see that and know that. And then everything you'll do will be over in Cengage when you first get into it. My side of it might look a little bit different than yours, but this is our book right here. So you get an ebook that comes along for the ride. So don't worry about buying a book because you get the ebook. And then with the ebook, it's basically just on your computer, your phone, your tablet, whatever your device is. It looks just like the printed book. You just obviously with the digital book, it's a little bit different. But that is your book. And then when you get into MindTap, it's just like this. And I'm not quite as familiar with MindTap, so I'm not sure if I've got this on instructor view or student view. But basically, when you get into it here, it's organized into different parts, and then within each part, there's various chapters. And I do want to point out that most assignments are for grades. There is one practice assignment per chapter. It's totally up to you if you do those, how much time you spend with those. It doesn't matter to me. If you don't do them, no big deal to me. If you do them, fine. I'm not even going to look at those. I really only care about the things you did that are required for points. I mean, those are points that I will then be grading for you. So Cengage is where you do your work. I will then transfer your grades over into my .usf in our class there because that's the official grade book of records. So just be aware that I'll be doing that as the class progresses. Okay. And then you can kind of just see how every chapter is pretty similar. It's got the engagement activity, the practice, the actual kind of big problem, which is a homework problem, and the branching assignment. The branching and the engagement are lower points, but they should be pretty easy points to get. You'll spend most of your time on the weekly homework problems, and those vary in terms of points. Okay, so with that in mind, that's how the class is set up. I welcome questions. If you need anything, just let me know. My USF email goes to my phone. I check it frequently on weekends. Call, text, email. I do prefer email first, then calling or texting after that. But if it's just easier for you to call me or text me, it's okay. No questions asked here. So from there, I hope it goes well. Look forward to learning with all of you this next month of class together. And again, if you need anything at all from me, just let me know. Thanks.